The Gladoff family was gathered on the terrace. The head of the family, Andrew, was sitting in the shade of the senator, in a dressing gown and a black eye patch, drinking coffee. His wife, Julia, was sunbathing on a lounger with a cocktail. The woman had an impeccable appearance and an ideal figure, like the cover of a glossy magazine. She fluttered her long, doll-like eyelashes, and she shouted unwillingly at her stepdaughter, a girl of about 7, who was running around the pool, trying to catch a butterfly in her net. "Masha, stop running. Calm down. You can play in peace for 5 minutes." An impossible child. The girl was very active and pretty. Her hair and chubby cheeks made her look like a little angel. She had long been accustomed to her stepmother's dislike, so she didn't even lift a finger when she was scolded. A beautiful butterfly with colorful wings landed on the edge of the pool. Masha carefully took her phone out of her pocket and wanted to take a photo. She got closer and closer to the edge of the pool and suddenly tripped and fell into the water. Masha started screaming and staggering. She was in a panic because she was not a good swimmer. "Daddy, Daddy, I'm drowning! Help me!" Dad ran frightened into the pool, but he was almost blind and walked very unsteadily, staggering and grabbing space with his hands. He called his wife for help. "Julia, can't you hear? Help Masha, please! I can't see where I'm going!" But the woman didn't even get up from her lounger. She only resented it. "You jumped, slimeball! I told you to stay still. That will teach you a lesson." "Don't scream. Swim and get out." Zahar, the gardener, dropped the lawnmower, ran to the pool at the girl's screams, and jumped into the water. He pushed the girl to the surface in a flash and pulled her out of the water. The frightened girl clung to her father and cried, "Dad, I was so scared. I just wanted to take a photo of the butterfly." "My phone sank too. I didn't mean to." He consoled the girl. "It's okay, honey. We'll buy you a new one. It's such a small thing. The main thing is that you are okay. Run, get changed in the house. From now on, be careful not to get too close to the edge. The tiles are slippery." "That's it. Don't cry, darling. Don't be scared," said Dad. Julia became even more agitated. "You're so weak. You could have spanked that wretch for being disobedient. He nearly drowned and ruined something expensive. So all you do is take care of her, and she's already in over her head. When are you going to find a nanny for your daughter? I can't get along with her. She's a spoiled brat, an intolerable one." But Andrew put Julia down abruptly. "How dare you? My daughter almost drowned, and instead of saving her, you sit here and play along. Thank you, Sahar. Masha is just a child who also lost her own mother. I love her madly, and you have to accept that if you want to be with me. Or do you think that if you have your baby, it won't run around and play? And I will definitely find a babysitter. I've already placed an ad. You see, I am blind. It is very difficult to do so now." The woman realized that she had overstepped her boundaries and became abrupt. "Don't be angry, darling. I love you very much. You know that. And I am very worried. But think about it. I can't be tied 24 hours a day to Masha. I have training and fitness, massages, the beauty salon. And now, after what happened to you, the business is mine and your daughter's. So hurry up and find a babysitter. It's very important for us. It will make life easier." "Okay, I'll go get ready. I have a manicure at 12 and a massage at 2. Everything is scheduled by the minute. Kisses. Don't get bored here." Masha was glad that her stepmother had left and silently sat down next to her father and hugged him. "I'm sorry, Dad. I really didn't mean to. Why is Julia so angry? She doesn't like me at all. And neither do you. You just don't realize that. Mom loved us. I miss her. And you?" The man sighed and hugged his daughter close to him. "I miss her too, my little girl. I've missed her so much. Aina was the best, but you know she's in heaven now, and Julia is not bad. Just that they have not yet gotten used to each other. But I promise you that you will choose your own nanny. By the way, another candidate will soon come." The girl kissed her father on the cheek and ran off to play with the dolls in the yard. And Andrei covered his sore eyes and began to remember his life. My God, why is everything so unfair? I just met a good woman, and pretty, an excellent hostess, from a decent family, and most importantly, I did not worship her. I lived and rejoiced. But no. His wife died 2 years ago from a serious genetic disease. She started to develop it after giving birth. First, her eyesight deteriorated, then her memory. Then her legs began to fail. And finally, Ina became completely ill and slowly withered away. It was scary to see how a young, blossoming woman turned into a helpless invalid, and he howled in helplessness, because even the most expensive medicines in the world could not bring her back. After Ina's funeral, her daughter became withdrawn, cried for a long time, and still misses her mother. Andrew also thought that he could not live with anyone else. But one day, at a business dinner in a restaurant, he saw Julia. She was sitting with a friend, drinking martinis and chatting happily about something of her own. The business dinner, also without any problems, turned into fun with dancing, and now he and Julia are already dancing a slow dance, and she is passionately kissing her. And Andrew was unable to resist the young and so desirable body and the affirmation of her beauty. And so the romance began. Julia cooed and circled around the businessman. He did not offend his beloved either. He gave her expensive jewelry and outfits. He took her to parties and clubs. Soon Julia insisted on getting married, and somehow she quickly got the hang of it and felt like the mistress of the house. She confidently distributed tasks and gave orders to everyone, except that he and Masha did not get along at all. It was mutual. Andrew, in fact, thought that Masha was just jealous of Julia and that it would pass with time. But even after 2 years, the situation did not improve. Stepmother and Jastra were fighting openly. And recently, 2 weeks ago, something terrible happened. Their driver, Vasily, had to leave for personal reasons, and Andrew had to drive himself. That day, the businessman stayed late at work, and when he was driving his car in the parking lot, he was robbed from behind. 3 thugs attacked him. The man had to engage in an involuntary fight, but one of the thugs sprayed him in the face with pepper spray. The businessman was lucky that a police car drove past the car and the thugs retreated. But the eye burn was so severe that Andrew almost went blind. He wears black glasses or a blindfold and is receiving intensive medical treatment. But the doctor quickly told him that if the medication did not help, he would have to have surgery to restore his vision. This cheered the man up a little, thinking that there was a chance of regaining his sight, but he was still terribly nervous. So for a while he was practically an invalid and had to stay at home with a cane for the blind. And business is a serious and brutal thing. You can't get out of the routine. You have to always be on the right track. What was more offensive, the businessman couldn't understand that he had screwed up so badly. It had been a long time since he had had such violent conflicts. Now he had to manage the company somehow from home, calling the Pumas on the phone and holding conferences on the internet. But his wife, Julia, soon became completely involved in his business. This surprised Andrew, but that was okay. He couldn't find a closer helper in such a situation. A pleasant voice brought him out of his thoughts. "Good afternoon, Alessandro. My name is Marina. I've come for an advertisement for the babysitting position. I've been given an appointment at 12 o'clock. The man smiled. He couldn't see her face, but somehow he decided she was a nice young girl. He started asking questions. "Marina, how old are you? How long have you worked with children? Do you have any recommendations from your previous workplace? And what was your training?" "I just love my daughter very much, and I want to find someone professional." "Just to be sure," Marina sighed. "I'm good at it. I don't have any references. But I love children very much, and I am ready to work for money. We have already met Masha. She is a wonderful girl. I promised to be with her all the time, to take care of her. Then Masha came running. Seeing that her father was hesitating and frowning, she whistled happily, winking at Marina. Dad, let's take Marina. I like her very much. I promise to obey her and not let myself be spoiled. Didn't you say the other day that I would choose my own nanny? The men overthought everything. She seems to be too young to be a nanny. 23 years old in total, no experience or references. Who knows what kind of person? But her voice. What a beautiful voice she has. And Masha really liked her. That's a scoop. Ah, what will be, will not be. And she agreed. Okay, Marina, I'll take you on for a trial period. You can start right away. There is a lesson plan and a daily schedule in Masha's room. It must be strictly adhered to. In addition, the girl must be taken to the dance and her art class, walked and helped with her homework, made sure she eats well, and reported to me personally about the slightest change in her well-being. Is that clear? The girl was delighted and almost cried with happiness. She really needed this job. She thanked Andro. Thank you. You won't regret it. I'll try hard. So Masha, show us your room. Where is it? We'll see what's what. From that day on, Marina started working for the Gladkov family. She did a great job. Masha adored her. Somehow they got along well. Marina knew how to find an approach to the girl. She didn't scold her. They were more like friends. If Marina saw that Masha was getting lazy or didn't want to write her unfortunate letters, she became cunning. She immediately organized a contest. Well, let's do something. Whoever completes the task faster and better will get the biggest and tastiest vanilla ice cream. And whoever loses will eat oatmeal for 2 days. Shall we go? Personally, I hate oatmeal. Do you? And Masha was panting and doing those hateful hooks, trying to outrun Marina and not eat unpalatable porridge. It worked perfectly. Andro couldn't be happier with his new nanny. And his daughter was happy with her excellent grades and in a good mood. In the evenings, he was now full of praise about how Marina taught her to do intricate hairstyles or weave macrame. Julia, on the other hand, was not thrilled with the new nanny. He muttered, "What a nanny you've chosen for Masha." Speechless. Not only is she easy, but she's even harsher. She's spoiled. What kind of upbringing is this? You have to be strict with Masha, not let her get away with anything. And so she completely relaxed. It was as if the girl hadn't noticed me. Before, at least, she used to get angry, but now she shuts up and goes off with her navy. This is unheard of. Andrew laughed. You won't be satisfied, my dear. Not having a nanny is bad. Having a nanny is also bad. Masha was rude, and I didn't like it, and she didn't say anything either. Maybe it's not about Masha at all, and she just doesn't want to find an approach to the girl. Julia pursed her lips and fell silent, upset, thinking to herself, do whatever you want, as long as that hateful girl doesn't cling to me. What a nuisance. In the rich man's mansion, there was a grand piano. Andrew had been a musician in the past and had purposely bought a quality instrument. Sometimes he was overcome with nostalgia and would play any melody on it. But when he heard Marina and Masha practicing the dog waltz, both of them playing at the piano and laughing merrily, he almost fell off his chair. He asked the girl, "Marina, do you know how to play the piano?" He was pleasantly surprised. I was once a musician myself. She plays something else. I'm curious to hear her. The girl was embarrassed. No, I'm not an expert. It's just that there was a good music teacher at the orphanage, Vera Petrovna. She taught me. She said I had talent, but in general I really like music, especially this melody. It's very touching. And Marina played a slow, romantic melody, and Andrew literally fell into a stupor, and tears rolled down his cheeks. His soul turned to the old experiences of his youth. He said to himself, "My God, it's not possible. After all, only one girl wrote that melody, and she knew it, and obviously it wasn't Marina. The voice is not bad, and the age too, But how? How does she know such a melody? Is Jana related to her or a good acquaintance? We have to find out right away. When Marina finished, she thanked her and began to carefully ask her for the necessary information. Tell me, Marina, how do you know the melody? It is very rare and is not recorded anywhere. I am sure of that. Besides, it was written by someone I know. The girl answered. She taught my roommate, Jana, how to play it. She was such a good, talented woman. If you heard her play, you can hear her. But she's not very lucky. She has a lot of problems. Her son was taken away from her and she was fired from her job for nothing. She's very depressed. Of course, I cheer her up as much as I can. The businessman's heart was pounding out of his chest. He padded his legs and started asking more questions. How old is she? What's her last name? How old is your son? Why? And where did they take him? It's a very interesting story. Marina sighed. Jana's last name is Lesnikova. She's about 30. Don't ask, to be honest. Her son's name is Pavlik. He is 9 years old. He is a wonderful boy, intelligent and serious for years. I don't know if Jana was married or who Pavlik was from, but she once casually mentioned her first, tragic failed love. Jana worked as a music teacher at a private school and earned a very good salary. She worked a lot, except that the director kept an eye on her. He's married, over 50, and even has grandchildren, but he still wouldn't let Jana get away with anything. He was making a pass at her shamelessly. He said that if she didn't agree to bed, he would arrange for her to crawl to him and beg for intimacy. But Jana wasn't shy, and when the director pinned her against the wall again and began to shamelessly crawl under her skirt in the middle of the office, she slapped him and threatened to tell his wife everything. She's going to write to the police. That's when the old pervert got angry and really gave Jana a nightmare. Some people entered Jana's room. They opened the door so neatly that it can't be undermined and messed it up, scattering cigarette butts and empty bottles everywhere. As soon as Jana entered the room with her son after picking him up from school, she was immediately seized by child welfare and false witnesses. She herself did not understand where all this horror came from. So they took Pavlik away, saying that Jana does not take care of her son and all that kind of thing. But it was a complete lie. I often went to my neighbor's house, and it was always clean, I swear. She did not smoke at all, and we could only have a drink on her birthday or another holiday. In general, Jana was in a state of shock. She banged on the door from all directions, trying to get her son back. The director also immediately fired her from work, telling everyone on every corner that she is an alcoholic, a negligent mother, and that she should not go to school. Since that day, Jana has become completely despondent. She spends all her time under the windows of the orphanage crying, and Pavlik suffers there too, begging to go home. Can you imagine what it is like for a child from home to end up in an orphanage? They only tell you on TV how wonderful it is to be in an orphanage, that the children are fed and clothed. I myself am from an orphanage. I lived there. It's a nightmare. There are only a few left. These children are not even considered human beings, so they are not second-class citizens, and therefore they are bullied as best they can. I feel sorry for Jana and Pavlik. I would have strangled with my own hands that old pervert with connections who, because of him, ruined the fate of my neighbor. Andrew was shocked. She listened, tears flowing by themselves, irritating her already damaged eyes. Everything matched. It couldn't be, she asked in a trembling voice. Marina, I beg you, bring Jana here tomorrow. I really need to see her, at least hear her. You see, she and I know each other. But well, that's a long story. Do as I ask. The girl was very surprised, but nodded. Okay, whatever you say. I'll go with her tomorrow. Then, if she wants, of course, I'll bring her. But how do I explain everything to her? Why does she have to go to someone else's family? The man said in a hesitant voice. Just tell her that Donut is waiting for her very much. She will understand, don't doubt it. When Marina left to feed Masha, Andrew locked himself in his office and put his arms around his head and began to remember his youth and Jana. How long ago? As if she weren't with him, Andrew grew up alone with his mother. He had never met his father. As a child, he was told stories about a polar explorer, a geologist, but when the boy grew up, he understood everything himself. She didn't ask stupid questions. From a very young age, Andrew loved music. He could sit and listen to a melody for a long time. And once, when he and his mother were visiting a friend's house, a 5-year-old boy sat down at the piano and by just touching the keys was able to play a simple melody. His mother decided to send the boy to music class, and there he met Jana. Their love affair began in 5th grade. Andrew well remembered how stunned he was when he saw this pretty, slim girl with 2 huge bows and a folder of sheet music in her hands. Our hero, on the other hand, was a little overweight as a child, and he was teased, being told, "Darn item." They were put at the same desk, and from that day on, Jana and Andrew became best friends and then decided to go to school together. First, they had to go to music school, make their first serious progress, and perform at concerts. Over the years, they became such close friends. Their families were close. Their destinies were so closely connected that childhood friendships gradually turned into true love. Jana has always been a dreamer. She didn't care about material things. She lived for love, music, and didn't pay much attention to others. The fact that musicians' salaries are small and they have to live on the bare minimum, saving money for everything. Andrew, on the other hand, was very irritated by all this. He, like any man, dreamed of having his own house, a good car, decent clothes, and living comfortably. So, after graduating with flying colors, he went ahead and tried his hand at a business career, at being a shuttle, at starting his own business. The couple argued more and more often. Jana tried to communicate with her love. "Andrew, what are you doing? Don't give up music. It's your talent, your calling. You're really gifted. Why are you carrying those huge bags and bundles? You don't get enough sleep, fighting off blackmailers. What for? Your fingers are made for something else. Play, create." The man got angry. "Jana, I don't understand you. You're out of this world. You don't see what's happening in the country. We're poor. You can't find work in a day. How and what are we going to live on? With the little we make with music, who needs concerts now? Why do I slave away? To give you those gold earrings, to dress, to eat well. The other would be happy. And you could give private lessons, earn good money, and not teach me about life." Jana took off her earrings and threw them in her fiancé's face. "Take my advice. It's not a gift if you're going to hold it against him. We should probably break up. I don't understand you. I don't know what's happened to you. Why have you changed so much? You've become rigid, dry, and soulless. I want a quiet, simple family life. I don't want riches, only fidelity, trust, and love. And you're crazy. You're obsessed with money. You're gone 24 hours a day. Your eyes are red. You've given up music altogether. When was the last time you sat down at the piano? And I'm not going to give private lessons. There's no need to steal the kids' money. I'll explain it to them at school too, if I have to stay after school." Andrew waved his hand angrily. "Get lost. Live as you please. Bless you. You'll regret ever leaving. I'll make a good name for myself. I'll become a businessman. And then we'll see." So, foolishly, for no good reason, the couple broke up and separated. Andrew threw himself headlong into his career. Soon he managed to open his own business, a chain of car repair shops. Everything went round and round. He went round and round, day and night, like a squirrel in a wheel. Then he met Ina, got married, had a daughter, and other worries began. The death of his wife had shaken the man greatly, but even then, he somehow went with the flow and succumbed to the charms of the seductive Julia. It was not that he did not love his wife, or that he was indifferent. No, there were feelings, passion, affection, anything. Except one, the only one, light and pure as a summer breeze, a feeling of happiness, flight, and fluttering. Such a feeling he only felt in his youth, with Jana and music. Only now, when he heard the same melody from his youth, written by Jana, his heart ached and a frantic longing filled him. Beyond those carefree years of youth, he yearned madly to meet Jana, to have a heart-to-heart talk, no matter how you look at it. First love lives in a person's heart for a lifetime. Life. It is not forgotten under any circumstances. The man could hardly wait for the next day, and from the morning he shaved carefully, though almost to the touch, and tidied himself up. He hardly waited for Julia to come out into the drawing room. He was terribly annoyed by her idle chatter about rags and washing the bones of her neighbors and acquaintances. Marina took Masha to school and returned home not alone but with Jana. Andrew could only see a blurred silhouette, but the faint scent of perfume, so flowery, and her voice soft as a bell, had not changed at all. The woman exclaimed, "Andrew, my donut! It can't be. What a meeting. When Marina told me yesterday that Donut was with you, I didn't believe it, and you've changed a lot. You're a brutal and prominent man. What happened? Why did you want to see me? I understand that you're married, you have a daughter, and why do you have a black patch on your eye? Are you sick?" Andrew listened to these outbursts, and tears rolled from his eyes. He took Jana's hand. It was just as soft and tender. With long fingers, made only for music, the man began to approach and kiss each finger and whispered flatly, "My dear, how glad I am to see you, to breathe your fragrance. I haven't forgotten anything, not for a minute. How foolish we were to break up then." "What's wrong with me?" you ask. 2 weeks ago, some thugs robbed me. They sprayed my face with pepper spray. I'm almost blind now. I only see blurry silhouettes. The doctors say I need an operation, but it doesn't matter. Marina told me you have a son, Pavlik. Jana. Admit it. He's mine. I've done the math. I really do have a son. The woman sighed and said quietly, "Yes, Andrew, he's your son. You were the only man I've ever known. No matter how hard I try to forget you except in my mind, I can't. But my son was taken from me. My heart is torn. I'm worried. I barely sleep. All I do is watch under the windows of the orphanage, waiting for him to greet me, surreptitiously from the window. Because I have to go through all this. I haven't done anything wrong to anyone, because I hate that lecherous asshole. Edward ruined my whole life, and most importantly, he has everything, everywhere. He's paid everyone and the bastard just to hurt me more. I'm so desperate already. I'm about to accept his condition. I'll sleep with him to get my son back. There's no other way out." Andrew squeezed his palm tightly. He almost screamed. "No, don't even think about it. That's why I called you, because I want to help you get back. Honey, give me your details. I'll find the right thing. I'll hire the best lawyers. Together, we'll catch that scoundrel. Also, I have contacts in the police. Do you remember Lyosha Batruin? You won't believe it. He's already a captain. He was promoted last month. We saw him by chance. So don't worry, I'll get him back. I'll never let my son stay in an orphanage. Please trust me, Jana. Everything will be fine. I've never met anyone like you, and I won't let you go anywhere. You know that." They said their goodbyes fondly, and Jana truly found hope. She knew that Andrew would never say anything to the wind. She left him, but she still loved him reverently. Andrew called Botrin, and he immediately responded to his friend's request, offering to perform the operation. Jana had to call the director, supposedly to agree to his conditions and arrange an appointment. She would be accompanied by a microphone, and an officer would be waiting at the door. The woman's job is to get that bastard to admit that he caused all her problems. Then, he could be caught. So they did. Jana was very nervous, worried, but for the sake of her son, she was ready for anything. So she exhaled and determinedly dialed the director's number. She said reluctantly, "What's on your mind, you stubborn young lady? Or why are you calling me?" Inside, she was already seething with rage. She could barely speak. She was restraining herself, but she answered as gently as possible. "Edward, I beg you, give me back my son. I agree to everything. Let us meet. Tell me where and when." She laughed sarcastically. "How did you sing?" "Okay. Let us meet. Tomorrow afternoon at 6 in my office. There is a comfortable sofa for discussion. Waiting for you, my sweet hen." She was repulsed by the words of that lecherous man, but she pulled herself together and dressed as provocatively as her upbringing allowed. A low-cut blouse, a tight skirt, high-heeled shoes. She put on a lot of makeup. And he carefully hid himself, checked the recorder, and with stiff legs headed for the director's office. Since she had an appointment at school, and the operative could not be openly on guard under the door, it was decided that if the situation got out of hand, Jana would open the window. The woman knocked on the door and entered the office. The director was sitting on the door, imposing, with a carnivorous smile. He looked from head to toe with a straight face. "I've been thinking about this for a long time. I see that science has done you good. You've become more cooperative. Good girl. I wish you'd done it a long time ago. What delicious breasts. I'm burning up. Well, get undressed." Jana almost choked on such impudence and was terrified. What if he jumped on her now and raped her? But the thought of Pavlik and the officers under the window gave her courage, and she began to take out her bag of champagne and sweets. "Edward, come on, I can't do that. Let's have a drink. Let's relax." She didn't mind. She uncorked the champagne and poured the glasses of liquor. Meanwhile, Jana got to the point. "Edward, before you... I have to be sure that you'll give me my son. You can promise me that. I know you had something to do with what happened, but how did you do it? I don't understand. You have managed to tarnish my good name. In 1 month." He smiled. "And you should have been more cooperative. Then there would be no problems. Before you, no one would have thought of turning me down. Do you think that Ludmila, the secretary, and Elena, the physical education teacher, only work here? They were smarter than you. Now they get a great salary and a regular bonus. What's so difficult about it? A good and very close acquaintance of mine works in the agencies. It was my protection that took her in the first place, so I gave her what she owed. I put your son in an orphanage. I hired witnesses. Money solves everything nowadays, believe me. Well, I like you, I'm attracted to you, so the more pleasure you give me, the faster you'll get your son back. You're relaxed now. Take off your clothes. You talk too much." Jana realized she couldn't wait any longer. Pretending to unbutton her blouse, she walked over to the window and swung it open. She prayed and hoped that the police would rush in. The director finally lost his temper, and with a lightness astonishing for his age, he ran to the woman and started groping her, trying to tear off her blouse. Jana started screaming and resisting. The old man was so disgusted that his entire being resisted. Edward began to pile on top of her, clearing away everything on the table. "Shut your mouth, stupid. There's no one here anyway." The cleaning lady also left. "Why are you fighting again? You've got bubbles in your head. I'll teach you how to behave." And she began to wring her hands. At that moment, the flimsy door burst open and a workman burst into the office. He turned abruptly to the scoundrel and began to reprimand him. "Shame on you. At that age you should be ashamed of your obscenities." And yet, a married man, even with grandchildren. What would it be like for them to find out what their grandfather is doing? The director spewed curses and exploded. "Ah, you chicken. You had me wrapped around your finger. You're going to pay. I have contacts, you know that." The policeman quickly shut his mouth. "We'll deal with your contacts. How you managed to take a woman's baby away and all that. That's it." Jana finally relaxed. exhaled and cried from the strain she had endured. Now, I'll get Pavlik back. He confessed everything, didn't he? I did everything right. Here, take the tape recorder. The policeman is in good spirits. We will sort it out. I think they will be together again soon. Don't worry, and we will put this scoundrel in jail. There is no one like him behind bars. The case came to light. The lascivious director was convicted, and the townspeople were outraged at how he had worked at the school for so many years. Jana was readmitted and given the same name again, and most importantly, after several inspections and formalities, her son was returned to her. The woman sobbed and kissed her son non-stop. He could not open his arms either. They left the hated orphanage, hand in hand, without looking back. Andrew was looking forward to seeing his own son. He got so wrapped up in Ayana's affairs and problems that he completely forgot about Julia. But she was just watching all this from the sidelines and decided to clear up the situation. Honey, what's the matter? Always so nervous, calling people, restless, all because of some Jana and a child. Can you explain it to me? The man could not see his young wife's face, which was twisted with rage, but he keenly felt the vibrations of hatred and anger emanating from her. Suddenly he realized right now, at that very moment, that he didn't want to live another day with that woman. After all, he will never get along with his daughter. That's obvious. Andrew, in fact, didn't really love her. It was more of a passion, an obsession, which was fading quickly. All the more so when Julia was becoming more and more insolent and bossy in the house and was becoming uncontrollable. Imagining himself the owner of everything, Andrew sighed heavily and started an unpleasant conversation. You're right, Julia. We need to talk, have a chat. I'll answer your question first. Jana, she's an old friend. And my first love. We are still together. We went to music school. Then we broke up stupidly. It turned out that she was pregnant at that time, but I didn't know about it. She gave birth to a boy. She named him Pavlik. Now I am a father of two, Masha and Pavlik. Julia got emotional. Ah, and even better, you're telling me that in addition to your spoiled daughter, we're going to have a boy. It's horrible. I don't even want to have children. But no, you're giving someone else's money. Andrew smiled bitterly. You haven't listened to me. Julia, our romance started so quickly and impetuously that I myself didn't have time to understand anything. But passion quickly flared up, and after 2 years we're almost strangers, don't you think? You don't get along with Masha, and you probably won't try to get close to her. When I saw Jana many years later, I realized that I still love her, just like when I was young. I know this is unpleasant to hear, but I don't intend to lie. I'm going to make an appointment with the doctor tomorrow to have my eyes operated on, and then we'll have to break up. Don't worry, I'll leave you an apartment and the car I gave you, and then, I'm sorry, you'll be on your own. You'll have to get a job and live like everyone else. Julia jumped up and shrieked, I'm your wife, period, so I get half of all your positions and your business. Okay, look, you're leaving me the apartment. You're screwed. I'll take everything that's due. Ungrateful. I've been living with you for 2 years, putting up with your hateful daughter. You should at least say thank you. By the way, I don't want to live with you anymore. The last thing I need is another rascal hanging around my neck. I'm only 25, my whole life ahead of me. I want to have fun, not be a nanny to other people's children and a blind husband. At that moment, Andrew couldn't stand it. Ha! That's how you talk. So while he was healthy, he gave gifts, bought things, was good. And you don't need a blind husband for anything. Well then, we can say goodbye. I dare not delay. Go ahead and get on with your new achievements. Julia realized she had said too much and had clearly gone too far. She twisted like a frying pan and abruptly changed tactics. Honey, wait. Let's stop. We both exaggerated and said too much. Let's get well. Let's get better. Let's leave this unpleasant conversation for later. Okay. Andrew, don't be hasty. The operation is not necessary. A month at the most. If not, God forbid, there will be complications. Come here, I'll give you a kiss. But it all sounded so false and fake that the man just turned away from the woman and snapped, "I've said everything. Excuse me, I have to go to the appointment." Julia flew out of her husband's office like a bullet, torn inside with rage. Bastard, wretch, invalid. He's already getting divorced. He's in love. You see? He's leaving me the apartment. What am I going to live on? Work. God forbid. I was not born for that. Well, wait. You will remember me for a long time. Andres ignored his wife and decided to arrange a consultation with the professor anyway. Jana offered to accompany him, to support him in a friendly way. It was so touching and nice. Marina and Masha went to an after-school class that same day, drawing and modeling. They arrived late and both were fainted. The house was a mess. The safe was open and empty. Many expensive things, household appliances, were missing. Marina was scared to death and immediately called the police and the owner. "Andrew, we have an emergency. Masha and I have just returned and we have been robbed. Everything is in disarray. The safe is open. There is no television. The papers are on the shelf. Maybe something else. I can't see it yet. Call the police. Come quickly. I beg you, I'm scared." The man was all upset, frightened for his daughter, and ordered Marina, "Go immediately with Masha to the kindergarten. Stay there and don't open the door to anyone until I get there. I won't be long." He immediately forgot about his illness. He quickly said goodbye to Jana, explaining the situation, and ran home faster than the wind in a taxi. Just as the police arrived, the frightened Masha immediately threw herself at her father's neck. "Dad, it's so good that you came. Marina and I arrived home and here he was. I'm so scared." The man stroked the girl's head and reassured her. "Where is Julia? You saw her today. Don't cry. We'll check the cameras, we'll find him." Marina answered, "Your wife left early this morning and hasn't come back." "Well, not yet. I didn't go to school because of Masha. How awful. And most importantly, the door wasn't forced open." "That's interesting. The burglars had the key. But where did they come from? I don't understand anything." Andrew turned on the camera recording and was horrified. Julia and her driver, Vasily, ran through the house and took everything out in a hurry. His wife had no idea there were cameras, so she got angry and screamed, "Take that, you bastard! You'll remember again." "No problem. It's for the best. We can't hide forever and make love in the garage at night. We'll live like human beings then." "But let's get rid of this cuckold," Vasily said angrily. "Lucky bastard. I couldn't finish him off, only blind him. Otherwise, Masha would have been sent to the orphanage long ago, and they would have lived here like kings." "And where did the patrol come from?" "It didn't." Julia shouted to Basile in her own way, "Come on, hurry up! The nanny and Masha will be back soon." Now we have to sell everything quickly, and we can order tickets to a warmer place. My dream is going to come true. The sea and the palm trees. The rascals locked the house and left in Baisha's minibus. Andrew was stunned, as was everyone else, but the police were clear. Of course, they rushed to remove and catch the sweet couple in love who decided to steal everything. The daughter hugged and comforted her father. "I told you a long time ago, Dad, that Julia doesn't love us. She's bad and bad. And you didn't believe me. Now you're going to tell the truth." Andrew kissed his princess. "You're so grown up." "Yes, Julia won't live with us. I would like you to meet a nice woman. Do you remember that she once came to see us? Her name is Jana. She has a son, Pavlik. He is your brother. It takes a long time to explain. You will grow up and understand. I really hope that they will get along. It is very important to me, and Julia, and Uncle Basilio. They will surely be punished by the police and put in jail." Suddenly the daughter asked anxiously, "Dad, what did the doctor tell you? You will see your eyes again." Andrew answered, "I will go to bed on Monday for the operation. You will be with Marina all the time, and Pavlik will be with you too. His mother will come to the hospital with me. Please don't fight. She is family after all. Promise me, and listen to Marina in everything. Be good." The police soon found the grieving lovers in Vasily's apartment. They were married and taken to the police station. Now both of them faced a decent sentence for attempted murder and robbery. Julia was in a panic. The grey, damp, emaciated walls, the dirty mattress, the horrible soup filled her with an indescribable horror. Only now did she begin to understand it all. What she was waiting for. She prayed all day and night and scolded herself with her last words. "Idiot, idiot. Why couldn't you live in peace? What now? What a wretch. It is urgent that we see Andrew and ask his forgiveness. He is kind, he will forgive us. And when we leave the city, we will go anywhere but to prison." In the meantime, Andrew filed for divorce, entrusting all the formalities to his lawyer. He went into the operating room. Jana was at his side. Marina and the children stayed on the farm. At first, Pavlik was shy and timid, but the restless Masha soon made friends with him and found a common language. And in one day, he felt at home in the Gladkov mansion. The boy also turned out to be musically gifted. He learned to play the piano with ease. Marina enjoyed playing with the children, learning simple melodies. The girl was very worried because she was responsible for 2 children at once. Afterwards, they went to visit Andrew in the hospital. The operation was a success, and soon the bandage would be removed from his eyes. Everyone was waiting for this moment with excitement and anticipation. During this time, Andrew, Jana, and Marina and the children became very close. They had really become a great friendly team. Masha and Pavlik understood that their father was ill and tried not to upset him, especially since they always seemed to be amused and interested with Marina. Finally, Andrew waited, and they carefully removed the bandage from his eyes. The bright light hit him immediately, and he instinctively closed his eyes. Tears flowed in a shower. Then, he slowly opened his eyes and finally saw the world as it had been before the tragedy. The doctor examined Andrew and, satisfied, told him to prepare to discharge him. When Andrew himself came out of the office, smiling broadly, and saw Jana in the hallway, he exclaimed, my dear, I knew you hadn't changed a bit over the years. You've grown prettier, the same plump lips, curls, and long eyelashes. Oh, Jana, you are so beautiful. I can finally look at you, admire you every second, and see my son. Thank you, Marina. I will be grateful to you for playing our melody on the piano. Believe me, I almost fainted. I felt everything in my soul. You wrote it yourself. My God, Jan, I am so happy that you have returned to my life. I am ready to leave hell out of business. It has been in my throat for a long time. As the years went by, I managed to get enough money so that the whole family can live comfortably for many years. So we will try to live the life you want. In love, in peace, enjoying each other and your favorite music. You care. Jana burst into tears of joy and hugged Andrew tightly. My little fool, that's exactly what I expected you to say, you know? It hurt me so much that you chose money and business and not our love and vocation for music. Of course I agree. I still love you. After all, to me, you will always be the Danut I adored. Do you remember the first time we kissed? You played me the Moonlight Sonata, and then we spent midnight searching the night sky for the Big Dipper and kissing passionately. You wrapped me in your jacket and held me tenderly against you, hiding me from the rain, and I was the happiest at that moment. You can believe it. Let's go home. Everyone is waiting for us there. When Masha saw her father walking confidently, she saw that he was already watching. She immediately jumped on his neck. Hooray, Daddy, you're fine. What a joy. Come quickly, come quickly. We've made you a cake. You'll love it. Pavlik and I helped Marina. You're going to love it." Pavlik stepped back timidly, not daring to approach Andro. They had never spoken until now. The man told Masha to run into the house and approached the boy. "Hello, son. I can finally see and look at you. I can't believe how much we look alike. My ears and my smile are exactly the same. You can't get away. Mom told you that I'm your dad. The first thing I ask you is forgiveness, little one. I didn't know anything about you, or rather, I didn't even try to find out. And I've missed 9 years of your life. But now that we know each other, let me be your real father, a close person. I would very much like you to know that I love you, my son. I will never hurt you, and I will always support you in everything." He held out his hand to the boy, and he shook it firmly. Then he said softly, "I'm glad to have you now, Dad." And I see my mother smiling. Andrew couldn't hold back his tears. She hugged the child tightly. "Now we will all live in my house, one big family. It seems that you and Masha get along well. She is your little sister, so stick together. Support each other in life. Let's eat." From that day on, the life of businessman Andrew Gladkov changed radically. He became a completely different person. Unexpectedly, they all sold such a prosperous and successful business and devoted themselves to taking care of their family and music. With what pleasure, he would calmly approach the piano every morning and play his favorite and always favorite melody from the heart. He would even take out an old music book. Jana became his personal tutor and taught the children too. It turned out great, but Jana and Andrew's natural talent was enormous. So they decided to take a risk, to open their own idea, a private music school. The couple signed a contract modestly. They did not want publicity or attention to their lives. They had no time for that. They both had no satisfaction from each other and could not look at each other's friends. Only now did Andrew realize that all these years he had been living someone else's life. He had chosen the wrong job, the wrong woman, and he was dragging this burden along by inertia. The only thing he did not regret was his daughter. Masha was the one who gave him the sun for so long, the stimulus to live, and he simply adored children and worked at school. Marina was afraid at first that she would be fired as unnecessary now, but Andrew and Jana quickly reassured her. "What are you doing, Marina? Don't make that up. Stay at home. You're not a stranger to us. The kids won't be anywhere without you. Even Masha doesn't get bored, and now there are 2 naughty boys. I hope everyone can keep an eye on them." There was a new driver in the family, a young, modest, friendly boy, the same one from the village. His name was Mikhail. From the first day of work, he did not take his eyes off Marina. He was madly in love with this kind and pretty nanny, whom he often took with the children to clubs and sections. Thus, quietly but gradually, he won Marina's heartfelt favor, and they began dating. Andrew and Jana were very happy. He is a positive guy. He doesn't drink, he is decent. He will be a good match for Marina. All this time, Julia was sitting in the detention center, begging for a meeting with Andrew. But he deliberately took his time and dragged it out until the last minute. He wanted to teach her a good lesson to dissuade her forever from the desire to steal and cheat. The young girl had become haggard, tired, and her skin had become dull and lifeless. The mere thought of spending the next few years in such surroundings made Julia's stomach turn. He felt hopeless and homesick. So when they said that his ex-husband was ready to be reunited, he almost jumped for joy. When a skinny, plump woman entered Julia's cabin, wearing a wrinkled tracksuit and a greasy lock of hair on the back of her neck, he even recoiled, so hard. There was a difference with Julia that he knew. She has changed so much. The woman began to ask quietly, with tears in her eyes, "Forgive me, Andrew. I know it's all my fault. Now I am abandoned, like an old woman at a broken trough. I beg you, take my statement. I don't want to be in prison. I'm dying here. I promise that I will go to another village right away, to my mother. I will not enter your life. Have mercy on me." "I'm sorry," Andrew replied. "I hope that prison has served you well, and that you will not steal things from others again, at least not from the hands of the one who feeds you. And you will not kill your next husband either. That plan did not work. I can see now. My sight has completely recovered. Just so you know, Masha is a beautiful girl, and she gets along very well with Marina and Yana and her brother Pavlik. It wasn't about her, it was about you. You're a selfish, petty, calculating person who only thinks about her own interests. I'll take the statement, but if you ever show up, you'll surely end up in jail." I kept the camera's creation safe. There was no cover-up. Andrew was right about everything. Julia cried and whispered softly, "Thank you. You're real." The Gladkov family used to live in peace and harmony. Now in the city, many people and their children were eager to enter the private school. Marina taught the children with great love and gave herself completely to this dear cause. Masha and Pavlik also played, but the boy chose the guitar and drums, and Masha the piano. Yana often composed her own melodies, and Andrew wrote poems, and they had family songs that they all enjoyed performing together. At last, Andrew's life was filled with exactly the meaning he had longed for.